You know how you're driving through some town and you see a street sign and just wonder, where did that name come from? Well, let me tell you, if you're in South Carolina, the answer is always going to be a fascinating mix of history, folklore, and maybe even a little bit of mischief. The Palmetto State has some of the most unique place names in the country, and today we're going to dive in and unlock the stories behind them. Okay, so to kick things off, a little pop quiz for you. Just take a look at this name on your screen. How would you pronounce it? Go on, give it a shot. Say it out loud. Huger, right? So you're probably thinking Huger, maybe Hugger? I mean, that makes sense. But let's see how the locals actually say it. Nope, it's Yuji. Seriously. And, in South Carolina, getting these names right is kind of like a secret handshake. It's this little insider thing that separates the folks who live there from everyone just passing through. And trust me, it is not the only one. For instance, check out Beaufort. It's not Beaufort like in North Carolina, it's Beaufort. Or this one, Lagar. That becomes Lagree. See? These aren't just random weird pronunciations. They're like little verbal fossils, echoes of the French Huguenots and English settlers. They're packed with history all on their own. All right, so here's our game plan for this journey. First, we'll look at where all these incredible stories even come from. Then, we'll dive into how the land itself, the people who lived on it, and even a pretty quirky sense of humor left their mark all over the map. And finally, we'll talk about why all this stuff really matters. Okay, so you might be wondering, where in the world are all these amazing, super specific stories coming from? Well, this isn't just random trivia we pulled off the internet. Our guide for this whole thing is an absolutely incredible project called Names in South Carolina. It was a journal that the University of South Carolina's English department published for decades. And get this, it was the very first of its kind in the whole country. It's a total goldmine of history, folklore. It's like a linguistic detective story. The oldest stories aren't in books. They're literally written on the land itself. So that's where we're going to start. Let's dig into how the natural world, everything from creeks to flowers, basically wrote itself right onto the map. Just look at this map of streams in Florence County. It's a perfect example of the most basic form of naming. People just name things for what they saw right in front of them. You've got Alligator Creek, Polecat Branch, Beaver Dam Creek. It's so direct, so descriptive, and it paints this amazing picture of what the local wildlife was like back then. And it wasn't just the critters. The plants and flowers got some incredible, almost poetic names. I mean, come on, the popcorn tree, because of its little seed pods, or the smoke tree for its big clouds of flowers. And you've gotta love Cat Whiskers and Wandering Dew. These names really let you see the world through their eyes, It shows you what they noticed every single day. But of course, the absolute oldest names on the land belong to the people who were there first. The Great Pee Dee River, a huge, important waterway, gets its name directly from the Pee Dee tribe. And what's really fascinating is that the name Pee Dee might actually mean smart or expert. What a legacy, right? A real testament to the people who first called this land home. Okay, so moving on from the landscape. The map is also kind of like a hidden hall of fame. It's covered in these invisible monuments to all the people who shaped South Carolina's history. We're talking settlers, soldiers, and of course, revolutionaries. And you absolutely cannot talk about South Carolina history without mentioning General Francis Marion. This quote right here, it just perfectly captures his genius during the Revolutionary War. He and his men basically turned the swampy landscape into a weapon, completely mystifying a British army that was way bigger and had way more supplies. And these images, they just bring his story to life. You can see the exact kind of terrain he mastered. He had this uncanny ability to just pop up out of nowhere, strike, and then poof, vanish back into the cypress swamps. It drove the British absolutely crazy. And that's exactly how he earned that legendary nickname, the Swamp Fox. Now, not every name has a super dramatic origin. Sometimes it's way simpler, but still just as historic. Take the town of 96. The story goes that the original trading post was, you guessed it, 96 miles from the key Cherokee town of Kiawit. That's it, just a simple measurement. But that name stuck, and it became the name of a fort, a pivotal battleground in the Revolution, and today it's a National Historic Site. All right, but history isn't all serious battles and famous generals. The South Carolina map has a really fun side to it, too. It shows off this wonderfully weird, kind of witty personality, a true palmetto state of mind, if you will. I mean, just look at the beach houses on Folly Beach. It's an absolute masterclass in puns. You've got Come See, Fin You Can, the beautifully simple This Is It, and my personal favorite, the clever Drip Drip. It just shows this awesome local sense of humor and a real love for wordplay. But, sometimes the story behind a name isn't so clear-cut. One of the most famous spots near Charleston Harbor is called Schute's Folly, which begs the question, what exactly was Mr. Schute's big mistake?
Well, that's where things get interesting, because it totally depends on who you ask. On the one hand, there's a story from way back in 1750 that says it was first called Schute's Delight, just because it was a beautiful, relaxing place. But then there's the juicier version. The more scandalous tale says the owner, a Quaker named Schutz, committed his folly by, well, marrying a second wife while his first one was still alive. Oops. We'll probably never know the true story, but let's be honest, the second one is way more fun to tell.
And get this is incredible. The actions of one single South Carolinian actually gave the entire English language a brand new word. This guy, Samuel Maverick, he moves to Texas and just doesn't bother branding his cattle. So pretty soon, any unbranded animal was just called a maverick. And today, that's what we call anyone who's an independent thinker, someone who stands apart from the herd. So, okay, we've got names from the land, names from heroes, and names from a really great sense of humor. But beyond just being cool trivia, what's the big takeaway here? Why do these names actually matter? Here's the thing. Every single one of these place names is like a miniature time capsule. When you know that Huger is pronounced UG, you're suddenly connected to those French settlers from centuries ago. When you see 96 on a sign, you're connected to the wild colonial frontier. These names are stories, hiding right there in plain sight, just waiting for us to notice them. And really, that's what this is all about. Once you start digging into the stories behind South Carolina's names, you can't help but look around and wonder about the names in your own life. So I'm going to leave you with a little challenge. What's the story hidden in the name of your street, or your town, your favorite park? Go look it up. You might be surprised at what you find.